Never let anybody see you sweat.
So I was born in New York City, and I lived there until I was 8 years old. I realized that I was a much better talker than I was a listener. I don't know what to say, I just don't like what you're saying.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I ended up going to law school at Georgetown, and I was a prosecutor for Janet Reno. I loved it because it was so raw. Were you cheating on her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All rise.
Our show will be a mixture of education, I think you're misreading the law a little bit, and entertainment. My main goal is justice and the law. That's been my legacy, and the legacy I hope to continue into the future with the show.
Frank Walker claims his friend blew the investment he gave him to develop a sports app, and he wants his money back. Mitch Fields says the finances were used to woo a major athlete for the app, and the money is long gone.
Mr. Walker, you are suing Mr. Fields for $7,000 because, according to you, he violated the investment contract that you had with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me what this is about.
So I met Mitch about 5 years ago. We had drinks watching a game at a sports bar, and he mentioned this investment opportunity relating to sports. The investment opportunity was for a privatized messaging app. Basically, where you were able to reach out to athletes, whether it's your birthday or an anniversary or maybe just like a big congratulations. Just a way for the fans to interact with the athletes that we usually don't.
Doesn't that already exist?
They do have apps like that.
Okay.
But not specifically niched for athletes. So your favorite athlete can be the specific one that sends the private message.
All right, so go on. So you like the idea.
Loved the idea. He mentioned that he had an athlete in mind, which I knew, and that was really what got me on board.
Okay.
And he also promised a couple of other things, a display of the actual app itself, and a beta test within 6 months. This
Had
is
he
what
ever
we signed on the
created an app
contract.
before that was successful?
I have not created an app. No,
No,
Your Honor.
not you, him.
He is in the tech industry, and he works for a tech company, and this is what he's
What
been
do you
coding.
do for the tech company?
So I develop apps, but I haven't ever made one that's specifically my own. So this was a side thing.
Did you ever tell him that you had never made one that was specifically your own?
Sure,
Okay.
yes, Your Honor.
And how much was the investment?
$7,000.
All right. Did you put anything in writing?
We did.
Oh, good.
It was
All
in the
right, Let me
contract.
see. Both of you hand me what you have in writing. I want to make sure. No, don't hand me all your folders, gentlemen. Hand me the contract that the two of you.
Thank you.
There we go. And I just want to make sure I'm looking at the same thing. And yes, I am. Who drafted this contract? You did or he did?
I drafted the contract,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Party A, that would be you, agrees to contribute $7,000 towards the development and launch of Champ Chat. The investment will be utilized for both the visual design, hiring of the development team, and quality assurance processes associated with Champ Chat app and for acquiring talent. Part B, that would be you, agrees to give monthly updates on the progress of the following key aspects: visual design, updates on the hiring process, team composition, and agrees to have a beta test version of the app ready within 6 months. What went wrong?
There's been a lack of communication. The athlete that we've been trying to pursue hasn't really done anything for us, and all I've seen is Mr. Socialite over here, and all he's done is post videos, pictures, all over social media of him enjoying his time with said athlete, but no progression.
On your nickel?
Yes, absolutely.
On your nickel,
My
on the-
$7,000.
Okay.
He's taking out, spending it, which I totally
You
understand.
expect some of that if you're wooing
Right.
the athlete. Right. You
At,
just.
at least some answer or any communication with, hey, we had a dinner tonight. This is how it went. I
So
haven't
did
heard
he ever report to you anything?
nothing.
Did he ever submit a beta test within the 6 months?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and the 6 months have passed, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
It had not passed when he decided to pull the plug on it.
When
I
did
still
he
had a
pull the
few-
plug?
So he pulled the plug about 3 weeks before that 6 months was over. So technically, I still could have developed the beta and sent it to him and had him see
Well, then why didn't
Well,
you
just
do
a second.
that?
Did you?
No, I hadn't done it yet.
Well, wait, I know, but why didn't you? When you say he pulled the plug, he didn't do anything. He just whined.
So the reason why I didn't want to get on...
Because it's not like you gave him back his money, right?
No, I have not given
Okay,
it back.
no. So what he did was whine.
So I was still trying to work on getting a contract with the high-level athlete that we
How
wanted
long were
to
you doing
start
that
with.
for? 6 months almost?
I mean, it wasn't it took a lot of time to even get a meeting with him. So he's a very busy person. But finally, I was able to start building a relationship with him.
Well, you need a lot more than one athlete to make an app like this work, right?
We agreed.
That's exactly
Just
right.
a second, I'm not talking to you. Go ahead.
We do, but I wanted to at least get this first one that we were investing in
Right.
on it, so then that would be credibility, so then we could go and get some more, and it'd be way
Okay.
easier to get them then.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
The problem that I'm having is that there's all these things in the contract that I don't see that you did at all.
Well, the contract hadn't been finished yet, so I
Nah,
still
but that
had
doesn't
time.
matter. The contract calls for monthly updates.
And later,
So then what happened?
You know, long hours, stressful. Ended up getting into a little affair at work.
What? Wait, what?
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Frank Walker, who is suing Mitch Fields over a bad investment.
What were you doing? You were wooing him and taking him out to dinners and drinks and...
Well, sure, I was taking him out to dinner, but then he would bring a bunch of people, his agent, his manager, his posse, or whatever. We went out, I believe it was 4 times total. Now
And did that eat up the $7,000?
That did not eat up the $7,000.
How
no.
much of that did it eat up?
I don't know. You'd have to look at the receipts.
I
We
will
have them
look at the
for
receipts. Do you have the receipts?
I have the receipts, Your Honor.
Yeah, let me see.
And another thing that he failed to mention was it wasn't just his nickel. I also invested $4,000 myself into it. So it wasn't just his money that I was whining and dining with. There was my money too.
Total bill, VIP table, 3 nights with bottle service, total $3,750. That's a lot of your budget to spend on wooing. Drinks, 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 more drinks, VIP booth, and 876. Okay, so what? How is it that you, quote, pull the plug? Like, what is it you say to him about, hey, I'm not happy with how this is going? When you get the bills?
Well, when I get the bills and I don't see results, actions speak louder than words, and he is a friend of mine. And when you go into business with your friends, you always have that, looming thought on your back, like, oh, this might not go right, but you always want to have that faith and trust. That's why I waited until the 6 months was over.
Well, but when you say until
not
6 months was over, do you have the text? Did this happen by text? The breakup happened by text?
That's where it began, yes.
That's where it began. When did the breakup actually happen?
So we have
verbally?
We have the text right here, and then we had a few
What is the date on
conversations.
this contract? Entered into on February 12th. Okay. And when were the texts? Let me see the text. Do they have the date on them?
Thank you.
Yes, they do.
Mitch, we have to talk about how we're allocating these business funds. How do you mean? I just saw the itemized bill from the company card, $3,500 for taking Robert all around town. Are you serious? We're competing with 3 other businesses that want his attention. Got to spend money to make money. If that's the attitude, I don't think I'll be able to keep this up. I want my initial $7,000 seed money back. The problem that I'm having is that there's all these things in the contract that I don't see that you did at all.
Well, the contract hadn't been finished yet, so I
Nah,
still
but that
had
doesn't
time.
matter. The contract calls for monthly updates. Where were the monthly updates?
I'd been giving him updates frequently. I don't know if they were specifically every month, but I needed to have that face first.
Let me see
of
what
the
you did.
entire
Yeah,
app.
I got it. I would just want to know what you did between February and July.
This wasn't just it. We have some people lined up to be developers, even though we haven't started the team yet and that whole process. There's a lot of planning that has to go in before you actually make the app so that when you hire developers, you're not just wasting all this time trying to...
Did you hire
work
anybody?
I haven't hired them specifically, but I've talked to a few of them. And they're interested in it, but they wanted to know if the athlete was going to be a part of it because they
Did
don't
you
want to
sign
be
the
a part
athlete?
of... Not yet. Because there's other companies that he's trying to decide. But what he fails to mention is that he then decided to make a social media post about the athlete because the athlete blew a game one day.
Uh-oh.
I don't remember the specific date, but I do have the post here.
Let me see
and
it.
you can see it.
When did you do that?
Recently, a few months ago.
So why would you do that if you know the guy's wooing him, and when I say the guy, I really mean if you know Champ Chat, which you're a large owner.
I already had the basis that this guy wasn't going to do it for us. How long does it take to woo somebody?
But why would you, when the wooing is still in full force, why would you...
I didn't know if the wooing was still in full force.
Well, why don't you just shut up, though? How's that? Like, in other words, maybe just talk about any other game except for the involvement of the guy who your business is wooing. Do you ever tell him you're going to give him his seed money back? No, right? Because you didn't.
No.
Right. Where's the athlete? Do the two of you still pal around and stuff?
Well, he saw the social media post and now he's out.
Oh, so there's nothing. So what have we got to show for it?
Well, now I don't have anything to show for it because
But somehow
he blew
you
it.
blame that on him because like 10 days, 12 days before the 6 months would have been up, he said, I don't like how this is going. I'd like my seed money back.
Well, but that wasn't part of the agreement.
Well, you know what was part of the agreement? Monthly updates on the hiring process, which gives the impression that there will be progress on the hiring process, right? And there's nothing. I find that you breached the contract, and I'm going to order you to give back the $7,000. Usually, these contracts are much more amorphous, you see? They don't say things like, I will give you monthly reports. They don't say, we'll have a beta test in 6 months. They're just totally amorphous, and I end up having to look at that side and say, hey, you invested in a business. Sorry, you're not patient. But not in this one, because he was very explicit about what he expected for his investment, and he got none of it because you didn't come forward. So I am ruling in his favor, and I'm going to order you to pay him $7,000. Verdict for the plaintiff.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $7,000.
Glad I finally hit this one out of the park.
You know, I'm sorry that this had to go this way, but I'd still love to go and see the game with you later this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Coming up,
Why would you choose a joint account and a record of lingerie buying?
We all make mistakes. I think it was just in the moment.
you're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. Marcus Hughes Lopez claims his former fiancé emptied their joint bank account and dumped him. Jessica Sanchez says the plaintiff was stealing her money to fund his affair, and she doesn't owe him a dime.
Mr. Lopez, you are suing your former fiancée, Ms. Sanchez, for $3,000 that you say she stole from a joint bank account. How long were you guys dating?
We were dating for about 2 years.
And then you decided to get married?
Yes.
All right. And so then what happened?
Long hours, stressful. I ended up getting into a little affair at work.
Wait, what?
I ended up getting into an affair at work.
A little affair? What's a little affair?
Just a little affair. And she found out about it. Decided to call things quit. And
Tell me how she called things quits.
she packed up her things and left.
Did you come home and find her gone, or did you come home and find her there?
I came home and she had all the papers with all the withdrawals and threw them at me and left.
Oh, I like your style.
Thank
So
you,
he
Your
comes home. Tell me about how you left him.
Well, first, after he proposed, beautiful proposal, I was not in a rush to get married. I wanted to save up money. I want to have a huge, huge wedding like I deserve. So we decided to start a joint bank account and put $1,500 each.
Were each of you doing that?
Yes.
And is that the only money that went into the account? Each of you put in equal amounts?
Yes.
Correct, Your Honor.
And nothing was supposed to go out of the account, right?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. There were not supposed to be any checks written against you, no withdrawals for anything, for food or groceries. No, that was solely the wedding account.
Yes, Your Honor. And I noticed that out of $18,000 that, according to my math, we should have, we only had $12,000.
Coming up,
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I got home, I packed up my bags, I print out all the bank statements that I have here, Your Honor, and I even highlight all those weird charges that I saw.
you're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Marcus Hughes Lopez, who blames Jessica Sanchez for draining his bank account.
So $6,000 was missing?
Yeah, in that period of 6 months.
And did you look at the bank statements to see where and when it was withdrawn?
Of course I did, because I knew I didn't do those charges. So when I was going through the bank statements, I started looking at steakhouse, flower shop, dress shop, even lingerie shop, and I didn't want to jump into...
Lingerie shop? What is wrong with you? You don't even know how to cheat appropriately. Like, why would you choose a joint account and a record of lingerie buying?
You know, we all make mistakes. I think it was just in the moment.
In what moment? That is like a planned thing to use oh, jeez. Honest to God. Go ahead, go on, honey.
So I called him up and I was like, oh, hi, honey, what time are you gonna be home from work? Because for those 6 months, he was working on a promotion and he was staying to the office until like 9, 10 p.m.
Okay, so were you working ridiculous hours?
Yeah, long nights, trying to get that promotion. And, you know, there was a coworker there, and like I said, it was just like something that happened in the moment.
Okay, so you call him and say, what time will you be home, and what does he say?
He said he was gonna be home late, and I was like, let me check for that. So I drove to his office. I want to make sure he was still there, and to my surprise, there was no one in there.
It was all dark.
It was all dark, no cars. So I got home, I packed up my bags, I print out all the bank statements that I have here, Your Honor, and I even highlight all those weird charges that I saw.
Let me see them.
Yeah, of course.
And then you sat there and waited for him to walk in through the door?
Yes, I sat down there looking at the clock. I knew he was gonna be home soon. He walked in, I threw it at him, and I walked away. I didn't want to hear him. I didn't want to talk to him because whatever he said, it was gonna be a lie.
Judge Milian's verdict when justice for the people returns. You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian.
So you spent $6,000. Of that $6,000, at least $3,000 belongs to her, right? Because you guys put 50-50 in there. And so instead of you, when you realize everything that happened, you know, going to the bank, figuring out what you owe her, sending her half, you just go along like, do-de-do-de-do, there's nothing, you know. And then she goes out and wipes you clean. I have to abide by the law. Half of that is his, right? I mean, he has to put back the part of yours he used on the mistress. But when we do the math, you wouldn't be entitled to $12,000, would you?
Well, Your Honor, may I, after I found out about the affair, I had to move out of his place. I couldn't even stand to look at him or be around him.
Was it his place?
It was his place.
Okay. So you decide you're going to leave him appropriately so, and you leave, and there are costs associated with that. But you want to also take $3,000 out of his pocket because he's a liar and a cheat and a jerk.
I believe that's the least I deserve after all the emotional distress he put me through.
Okay. No, my hands are tied by the law, and I have to do what is right, which is make him put the money back, then divide it equally, and all that means that you do owe him $3,000, verdict for the plaintiff. But thank God you figured this out, and pa otra cosa, mariposa.
Así es.
To the next thing, butterfly. It sounds so much better in Spanish.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $3,000.
Well, I guess you're not here anymore, but I'm gonna get that $3,000 back.
Well, I hope you really enjoy that with your mistress.
Okay. Exit this way, please.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.